Frank, thank you very much. Well, you mentioned that revolution of 1979. The Shah of Iran was exiled. His son now, Reza Pahlavi, lives in the United States, from where he says he leads an exiled opposition group. So we've been talking to him, asking what impact he thought the arrival of President Raisi would have on Iran.
Raisi is probably one of the darkest personalities ever pushed forth in the scene by this regime. People are beyond that. They want the whole regime gone. They want their freedom. They want their representation, something that this regime in no form or shape is doing. And as such, they are taking it to the streets. They're taking lives into their own hands. But I think this is exactly the reason why somebody like myself is talking to people like yourselves in the media and abroad, to understand how critical it is for Iranians not to feel alone in this fight.
But with respect, the ordinary people are in crisis. As you say, they're taking to the streets. They're facing water shortages, economic woes. You are in the United States. They will not necessarily feel that you are standing beside them.
Well, they do. If you look at Iranian social media, there's not a day that doesn't go by where we have back and forth communication between those of us outside of the country and those who are fighting inside. And this dialogue has been going on for years. And fortunately, with the help of social media, or let me put it this way, as long as the internet is not taken down, we still have the ability to constantly communicate. So I don't think that the issue is physical location.
But ultimately, that is not having an impact on the regime, is it?
Well, I mean, what do you mean? That the people that are protesting are doing something useless? I don't think so. Eventually, it will come to a point of a collapse, as we have witnessed. There were protests in South Africa for years. There were protests in Russia for years. There were protests in Eastern Europe for years. There are protests in Venezuela and Cuba and everywhere else around the world, and in Hong Kong and in Tibet. One of these days, finally, their turn will come.
But isn't a broader political strategy needed? For the regime, they are not bothered with what they may even see as small fry issues. Is there a better way for the international community to respond that doesn't impact on the ordinary people with things like sanctions, which have had an impact?
Your point is well taken, in the sense that obviously you have to have far more structural organization and networking, but a lot of it depends also in what the world chooses to do. For instance, in the last 5 times there have been tremendous gatherings and demonstrations. Not once have you heard any Iranians say anything about sanctions. They know that if there are sanctions, it's because of the regime and its policies, and the blame turns back onto the regime, not the outside world imposing it. If the regime starts murdering its own people or trying to shoot down some tanker in the Gulf of Oman, I think that you should be clearly indicate by not sending your representatives for inauguration in Tehran or for suspending all negotiations until some proper measures are taken. These are strong signs that it's not business as usual.
There are ongoing talks in Vienna to revive the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, the so-called JCPOA. You've got this contradiction, haven't you? You're saying that Western governments should be firm, be strong, and call out the Iranian regime. And yet, at the same time, you've got talks that they would like to get going.
If you want to talk simply about one specific agreement, in this case, the JCPOA, to be revived on version 2.0 of it, what I'm saying is that at a point that this behavior is being witnessed by the regime, and it is also behaving in such a way like the recent attacks, the least you could do is to suspend everything until you figure out what to do next. But continuing on the same path as if nothing else has happened in the meantime is either willingly ignoring the problem or basically saying, well, we don't care as long as we get what we want out of it, and to hell with the rest of them.
Reza Pahlavi.